I'm already contemplating on if this video is going to make it to YouTube. Only time will tell. Hello. Hello there. Happy new day. Thank you for tuning in and watching. I've been thinking about you all, thinking about my YouTube channel, and yeah, these days are just different, which I've talked about, and I feel like I'm gonna keep talking about. The days are just different. As of currently, I'm in a very relaxed and peaceful state. However, it's very difficult. I mean, you have to be just insensitive and uncaring and just like super selfish, like selfish to the point to where it's an unhealthy selfishness, to where you're like so selfish that you just don't care about anyone else but yourself. Like you don't use your selfishness to be in a better position to be of service to others. And that's not me. As much as I do keep to myself, I'm still very much connected to the outside world and others. The last couple of weeks, I've been feeling like some pressure to do a video, but I just don't get it's, you know, the energy shifts so quickly from me being in that space to it's gone. You know, it's like I literally have to do it like right then and there, or else it's not gonna get done. But I was just laying here and I saw that there was a another mass shooting that happened, I guess just a few hours ago. 14 children and one teacher were killed. In the shooting that happened just a few hours ago. Elementary school. Shot up by an 18-year-old. And, you know, we know about the Buffalo mass shooting at the Top supermarket a few days ago. 10 people killed. And a couple of days after that, there was a shooting in a church somewhere. And like, I thought about, you know, actually getting the timelines, because these shootings, I feel like they all have happened within the last week, within like the last 7 days. Definitely in just the month of May. There was a shooting, a mass shooting in Chicago, in an area that I frequented a lot. And it's not an area that where you typically see like those type of activities. And there has been some other situations that have happened in Chicago in the last couple of weeks with children, teenagers, and children just running in packs in the downtown area. There's like, I guess, a thing now to where underage, children, they just all know, like their population just knows to head to downtown Chicago and like just run the streets and kick people's cars, push people off, just be very destructive and unruly. And also, like, that's an area that I frequented. And it's so interesting how now that I have removed myself from the Chicago area, it seems like, no, not it seems, it this is what has happened. I'm just glad that I listened to my body. I'm glad that I am obedient to knowing when it's time to make a move. Because throughout my life, every time I have made a move, after I've made that move, shortly after, the area that I was in is like something happens there that's not like positive. So it's like, I definitely feel like I'm connected to a sense, an intuitive knowing that, okay, you need to, you know, move along because something's coming for this area that you're in. And sure enough, almost every area that I frequented in Chicago to get away from the negative areas of Chicago have now been taken over by that negative energy. And it's so mind blowing to me because if I was still there, then it would be difficult for me to find those places in Chicago to where like I could feel comfortable and move around and feel safer than areas that I have to be in. I was thinking too about the video that I did back in January where I was crying. I had it was a very long video and I went through some waves. I went through a lot of ups and downs in that one video. And though I rarely remember the majority of what I say in videos, I do remember like key points. And I remember talking about the children. I talked about the children and how it's mm, just the things that I touched on. And here it is. That was what, January, March, April. I skipped over February. February, March, April. So 4 months later, so much, so much has happened. And even though I've said, whether it was in that video or previous videos, that, oh, man, like this is, it's like you don't want to be a Debbie Downer or someone that speaks doom and gloom, but when you know that this is a part of the process. This is a part of a bigger process that goes beyond our lifetime. You have to acknowledge it. You have to acknowledge that this is, this is the end, but it's also the beginning. But because it's the end of what we know, what we were taught, what we were conditioned and, forced to believe, and all of these different things, it's it's more difficult to accept for a lot of people, as opposed to the younger people who are coming into this newer energy. Even though it's an energy of destruction, the the younger people are more, they have less things to hold on to, if that makes sense. When you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, you're holding on to memories and teachings and things things from the past that structured you in the way that you think and act and move and operate and navigate. And there are people who aren't able to recognize, or that are not in a place to let those things go when they, how am I trying to say this? For someone like me, I can recognize and acknowledge many things that I was taught in my past that need to be destroyed for me. They need to be removed, thrown away, burned. I need to disconnect as much as possible from these teachings, because I can see ahead, and I recognize that a lot of things that I was brought up to believe and taught and all of that, it's taking up space because it does not apply to what I need to use for navigation moving forward. But you also have people who are not able to do that. You have people who, they're holding on very tightly to what they were taught, and they refuse to believe that it those things can't be useful moving forward. And it's not to say that there aren't some things, but there are many things to where it's very clear and very evident, if you, depending on how tuned in you are, it's very clear and very evident that, yeah, that I thought that I should be following this, but no, that has to go. It has to go. There's no room for it, and there's no place for it with what's happening. And what's happening is setting things up for things to come. And the things that we were, a lot of the things that we were taught, were taught from a place of not preparing for the new energy that was coming. So, as many of us know, there's a huge disconnect and clash between the millennials and like the baby boomers. I can't remember the names, because you have like millennials, generation X and Z, and yeah. So there's just a disconnect, because the millennials and younger recognize that those before like the 80s babies, no, no, we can't use much of what they were taught to believe and what they instilled in us. It's just showing. It's showing every day, every day, every month. We're not even we're almost halfway into the year, but we're not even halfway into the year in 2022. I mean, when I did the video in January, 2022 was already a lot, and it wasn't even a month in. So here we are, 5 going on 6 months in, and it's like just the things that have happened, the activities of people, the mind states of people, and it's just it's crazy, like how much is involving young people, like children and young people in their early 20s, late teens, early 20s. The suicides, this year has been is just been like a list of young women, like the beauty pageant girls. I know that there's this year there were like back to back to back girls, young girls who were in these beauty contests, or in those positions of, I don't even know how to describe it, but these girls who have those pretty images, and they're well known, well spoken, educated, they have that positive image going on, motivational image, and just committing suicide. Yeah. And even though I haven't looked into any details in regards to this mass shooting that just happened today, but just to hear just the headline of, it was an 18-year-old, and then, if I'm not mistaken, the guy that shot up the supermarket in Buffalo, New York, he was 18. So again, it's just a lot of young people that are committing these crimes, and also being victims of crimes. And there's no adult, like there's no adult presence, there's no supervision or guardianship or parenting that seems to be strong enough anymore, because the way these children are just these non-orphan children. So these are children that have some type of parent somewhere, but it's like the separation that is taking place, which again, it's a part of this evolutionary process. You just don't have that strong adult presence in young people's lives anymore. And a lot of adults, parents are extremely tired. They are exhausted with their own lives. And of course you have many broken homes, and just the disconnecting of that energy of like togetherness and tribalism and family and community. I mean, there of course is still remnants of it still in operation, but it's harder to find. I've been talking about just the changes in the era, leaving one era and moving into another, the great flushing of the flushing of the toilet. Yeah, I've been talking about this for some years now, but it's crazy how it's speeding up, how there's more events taking place to represent the disconnect, or represent the disconnect, represent the shift, to cause more divide, to show more of like the independent selfishness energy, and moving out of the family oriented togetherness energy. It's like it's just the speeding up is just, it is mind blowing. Like just the the acceleration of everything. It's crazy. It's crazy. And I'm someone who, because I sit still a lot, because I'm not constantly going to go, and I always, every day, I have a nice chunk of time to where I sit and I process and I reflect and I think about things. What I realize is that it helps me to not get desensitized, because with the way things are going, this is definitely um a a a time to where it's going to be very easy. I mean, it's already happening, but it's going to be very easy to get desensitized from things that would usually touch you on an emotional level. And that in some cases could be a good thing, because how much trauma can 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 you take? How much bad news, how much, unfortunate, horrific events can you take in such a short period of time? And for just with these mass shootings, for there to, it's been at least, yeah, I think I can count four. So four mass shootings within a week. I'll just say 2 weeks max. I remember when the Columbine shooting happened, and that that was like big. That was humongous. And that was something that like stayed in the news. It was something that even to this day is still brought up because of how much of an impact it made. And it was something that was just like, it stood out because it was like an isolated event. But the fact that it's like, here we have four of these things. We got a supermarket, a church, a school, and a McDonald's, all within a week to 2 weeks. Just that quickly, mass shootings are, it's like you can feel it becoming normalized. Because if a fifth one happens, it's almost like, okay, like seriously, like you're not even going to feel the, you're not going to feel that hit, you know? Cuz it's like, a fifth one? Really? Like it's almost like you're going to, you at that point, you're like, even with this fourth one, it's like I can feel my brain trying to trying to make this like this just trying to make it not serious, but it's very serious. 14 children were killed today at school by an 18-year-old. You have reckless drivers running over children, like random, but really, it's all a part of it. I've seen the lack of respect for the school bus stop signs. Like it's almost like there's a collective frequency or message being sent out, like, hey, like we no longer stop at the school bus stop signs. Like it doesn't mean anything anymore. Like all of a sudden, like nobody really wants to stop at school bus stop signs. And you're hearing about like more and more children getting hit or almost hit by reckless drivers who just, it's like, oh, like all of a sudden, like no one cares about like children getting off of school buses. It's like it's just it's so many things that are just piling up and happening so quickly. Like these changes are just, it's like all of these switches to the program are like changing. It's like, okay, these things that used to be normal for the program, all of a sudden rewire, reformat, switch this off. And like you're seeing it reflected in human behavior. And it yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot. And it's a weird feeling because at any given moment, what I think about is what happens when the switch goes off in somebody's brain and it's just like time's up. Like I'm about to go unalive myself, or time's up, I'm about to go shoot up this place, or I'm about to go drown my children, or it's like it's weird how I see things, because I see timelines. Like I see so much data and information that leads up to these moments of just extreme reactive behaviors and horrific events. A lot of the things that used to matter or seemed like they mattered, um it it's hard to feel like they matter anymore. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how else to mm, mm. A couple of days ago I was thinking about healing and what is healing? Like, I don't it's so weird because things that things that were normal for you, you can just wake up one day and when you speak something that you've been saying for so long, all of a sudden it can sound like, even when it rolls off your tongue, you're just like, wait a minute, why does that sound weird? Why doesn't that resonate anymore? Like, you could just wake up one day and just, you could have been working on a project for the last year or 6 months or something, and just really been like focused and really building on this project, and then just wake up and you look at it and it's like you don't recognize it anymore. You're like, wait a minute, what wait a minute, what? I don't even want to do this anymore, even though you've been putting like your blood, sweat, and tears in it for the last 6 months to a year, however long. And you can just wake up and just like, this doesn't matter anymore. It's been times to where I've actually spoken just basic simple words, and I found myself just repeating the word because the word sounded like another language or something. Like, I don't know if I can explain it, but like a word as simple as shelf. This is a normal word that, everyone has used at some point. Shelf. Go put your books on the shelf. But I'll have these moments to where shelf. Why does that, like, why does this word that I've known probably since the beginning of me speaking words, why all of a sudden does this word sound shelf? It sounds foreign out of nowhere. And it's like, and that has happened a lot to me over the years. These basic words just all of a sudden just sound real glitchy for me. And I'm just like, that was weird. But I just I just feel like it's a part of the program is changing. The wheel is turning to another era. And you can just feel it, the frequency, even like the music, when you listen to music from the 60s, the 70s, 80s, not, you can just hear the music, the instruments, and the beats of the music, the pace of the music. You can feel the change in the frequency within the music, and it's like, it's just, everything is just trippy. It's really trippy. And I understand why people just try to stay occupied and stay busy, because it can be a lot. It can be a lot to oh my God. I'm about to run out of space. Goodness. Yeah, it can be a lot. It can be a lot to be tuned in and be aware of all of these changes and shifts, and um, sometimes having too much awareness, or I don't know. I guess you could say, yeah. Sometimes having too much awareness of what's going on can be an overload for people, and it can make people feel trapped. Yeah, and I understand why there are many people who will flat out say, "Don't tell me nothing. Like, let me just stay in what I know. Like, don't enlighten me on nothing. Don't, hey, let me be. Let me just ride this out. If it's not real, hey, just let me continue to exist like it is. Don't unveil nothing for me." I get it, but uh, I don't know how long I would have been talking if I didn't check this time up here. But I feel like overall, oh, goodness, I wish I had more encouraging words to share, and I feel like I haven't had that lately, and I know that's a deeper reason why I haven't been doing videos, because I feel like I don't have much motivation and positive words and encouragement to share, and I don't want to be known as a doom and gloom person. I also know that I have to keep it real, and acknowledge what's happening, that none of us can ignore or deny. And I just feel like the best thing that we can do, for those, of course, who resonate with this message, is just do your best to find whatever peace you can find within the madness. Yeah, whatever is working for you, that's making you feel good and in healthy ways. Whatever works for you, feels good for you, and gives you peace and comfort and groundedness and relaxation and satisfaction, I say go for it, because you you just, it takes work. It takes work to constantly go against such a strong universal planetary energy that is like so destructive and really shaking up the whole program and making people not be in their right minds. You have to be very disciplined and just takes a lot to combat that and stay in the most positive place that you can be in on a consistent basis. So, oh yeah, I'm about to be out of time, so I just wanted to share my thoughts and where I was at in this moment. And yeah, I wish you all the best. And yeah, uh, I'll, I don't even know, but free your mind to shine. Until next time.